I was lucky enough to experience some really cool things in Cincinnati. My daughter signed us up for this brewery tour. I thought we were going to go brewery to brewery and have a drink or two. Boy, did I get a lot more than I thought we were going to. Beneath the streets of Cincinnati lies a secret, hidden for nearly a century, a forgotten world buried beneath the city, lost to time until now. These tunnels, once part of the city's booming beer industry, became a haven for crime, bootlegging, and whispers of the unknown during Prohibition in the early 1900s. Prohibition drove operations underground, literally. These tunnels allowed breweries to secretly continue their craft, while smugglers and gangsters turned them into a black market empire. But when the law cracked down, the tunnels were sealed off, forgotten, lost to history. For decades, no one knew they were there. It wasn't until nearly 100 years later that construction crews accidentally rediscovered them beneath the city's foundations. What they found inside was both fascinating and disturbing. Ancient brewing vats, abandoned speakeasies, and evidence of illegal operations frozen in time, but some believe they also uncovered something else, something they weren't supposed to disturb. Paranormal investigators who have explored these tunnels report chilling encounters, shadowy figures lurking in the darkness just beyond the light, sudden drops in temperature, and whispers echoing through the empty corridors. Could the spirits of long-dead bootleggers still haunt these underground corridors? Are they guarding their secrets or warning us to leave? Today, the tunnels are owned and protected by a local preservation group, some of which offer guided tours into this eerie underworld, but many areas remain completely off limits, sealed away, perhaps for a reason. What else remains buried beneath Cincinnati? And are we truly alone down there? Some questions may never be answered. This is pretty fun and something you should probably try if you get a chance. Go experience these underground tunnels in Cincinnati. It's pretty cool. When you think of the history and the mystery, there's a lot to see and do down there. And when you surface, there's some cool things to do there too. It's Cincinnati after all. So this is Ohio Jimbo. And until next time, I'll see you out there in here.
That is steep.
Oh, it's a ladder.
Oh my god.
Let me hold these for you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'll hold them for you if you can go down, but I would hold on to this and go down backwards.
No, I hate heights.
That's steep, very steep. Yeah, these weren't as bad as the other ones, were they?
Yeah.
Yeah, those feel regulation.
Like walking.
This is so cool.
This is like very cool.
This is amazing.
This is why it's fun to do secrets often and actually learn the history of them.
What's really fun with this one? It was intact, and then to my knowledge, the owners had like an event down here one night. And when we came down the next day, after they had like this sort of party down here, it looked like this. So we were like, guess something happened last night. This is scraped yeast off this very barrel from the 1850s, and they were able to reactivate it.
Really?
So yeah, it's kind of amazing. So again, these are the Link tunnels owned by the Link brothers. Not a ladder of any kind. There are rails on the back, and that would lay along the floor, and that's how they would move the barrels along the floor. When the barrels were full, they weighed about 400 pounds, so you're not picking that up anytime soon. Which is why you see in the back of the tunnel as well, these things, these are counterweights, and they were used for what you see up here at this end of the tunnel, right back here. This is, and we'll pass by it in a sec, this is the original winch system. That is how they got the barrels up and down. So the counterweights, the 400-pound barrel, and about 4 strong German men hauling away on the cable. 1900s. they started using machinery or refrigeration. So they didn't need the tunnels anymore. Now they could brew at street level. The tunnels were rendered essentially obsolete because nobody wanted to pay for getting those barrels up and down when they didn't need to. This is when they kept the ventilation shafts open, however. Then the tunnels became... But yeah, no, I just had a little vertigo moment.
You got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Certainly.
Okay. I'm gonna shine this on the floor, and I'm here if anybody needs a hand. Thank you.
Oh, there's balls.
Thank you.
Excellent, everybody. Kind of creepy, huh? So if you all look back this way where we came in, I'm going to shine my light up over here. There's these stalactites in the ceiling. These are called drinking straw stalactites. They're hollow in the middle and the water runs down the middle, and that makes them a bit longer. So this tunnel is fun. This little guy right here, some people ask about this little orange thing. This is called a walligator. Up at Kings Island, which is our big amusement park. It was quite formative in some people's first experiences with alcohol. The master cylinder. So usually what we do at this point, everybody, if everybody's, yeah, that's what a lot of people
Everybody
say.
take a sip out of each can.
Exactly. You did sign the waiver. This is where things get trippy. So if everybody's standing on solid ground and close to somebody they trust, usually at this point we turn out the lights for just a minute so you can see how dark and quiet it was in the tunnels when we found them. It's a kind of really intense kind of darkness that you have to see. I know it's like so easy to turn on your flashlight on your cell phone. It's so easy to turn on, so hard to turn it off. So yeah, you can't actually see your hand in front of your face. There it is. Which seems like the perfect time to tell you all a scary story. So this is the scariest story I know, and the title of the story is Prohibition. Dun, dun, dun. You can turn your lights on if you want. You can listen to my little campfire story about Prohibition. America's sad for like 14 years. I know quite a lot about Prohibition. If any of you would like a longer, more boring story about federal income tax, please feel free to ask me back at the bar. For now, I'm just going to tell you one short funny story so I can say that I mentioned it. It involves a woman called Carrie Nation. Has anybody heard of Carrie Nation?
Yes.
Oh, a few people have.
Temperance
Awesome.
movement.
If you have, I'd love to. So Carrie Nation was a famous prohibitionist or part of the women's temperance movement. She's also very scary looking. So if you remember back at the bar, Google Carrie Nation and you will be like, Carrie Nation, like, whoa. She was extra scary because she would travel around the US with a hatchet, with an axe, and a group of ladies. And her ladies would lock arms outside the saloons and they would sing hymns to cover up the sound of Carrie inside the bar, go into town, smashing the bottles, the bar. She didn't kill anyone, to our knowledge. Carrie Nation was so, to our knowledge, Joe. Carrie Nation was so famous that saloons had signs that said, all nations welcome, except for Carrie. She came to Cincinnati. Everybody was freaking out. She went to historic Vine Street. At that point, which is one of the streets that runs through over the Rhine, at that point on Vine Street, everyone, there were 136 registered drinking establishments just on Vine Street. Carrie Nation looked at that and her hatchet dropped to her side and she famously said, I would drop dead of physical exhaustion before I've gone even one block. So she left without destroying a single bar. She slunk away out of sheer intimidation alone. We like to say that that day, our drinking saved our city. Speaking of our drinking, everybody, This was the time when Americans were drinking 16 gallons of beer per year, on average, per man, woman, and child. Here in the Natty, as we affectionately call Cincinnati, here in the Natty, we go hard or we go home. Cincinnatians were drinking 2.5 times the national average. We were drinking 40 to 50 gallons of beer per year, per man, woman, and child. Does anyone have any questions at this point? I think so far. Awesome, and finally, the last little thing we mentioned in this tunnel, just because people often ask, are the tunnels haunted? According to our paranormal team, yes they are. They've identified quite a high level of paranormal activity down here. According to your tour guide, Miranda, that did not used to believe in ghosts until 2 years ago, yes they are. So if you want to take any photos down here, I encourage you to check your camera roll afterwards. This is not the haunted tour, but if you are interested in this, when we get back to the bar, I'll be sitting at my little table where you signed in. I have a bunch of photos that people have taken down here. If you would like to look at any of them,